The clash between Reform UK and the Archbishop of York shows just how poisonous Britain's refugee debate has become. Archbishop Stephen Cottrell, acting as the Church of England's most senior voice while the See of Canterbury is vacant because of stupidity, made a sober point. Nigel Farage's deportation plan is isolationist, short-term and knee-jerk, and offers no long-term answer to the structural pressures that drive people onto boats. This is moral reasoning consistent with Christian teaching, a reminder that desperation, poverty and conflict cannot be solved by slogans. Richard Tice, Reform's deputy leader, replied with fury today, urging the Archbishop to stay out of migration policy and dismissing the criticism as all wrong. Well, of course, given the fact that St. Paul, the voyage of St. Paul with Luke and Mark is the only contemporaneous document about the only first-person document about a migration, about a voyage by sea from the first century. That seems particularly ironic. The Richard Tice's response is not an argument, it's a rebuke, it's an attempt to shut down the moral voice of the Church. Yet the Church has always had a role in public policy, from Wilberforce on slavery to the Bishop's interventions on welfare reform. To tell the Archbishop to stay silent is to misunderstand the very purpose of faith in public life, and indeed the role of the bishops in the House of Lords. More telling, though, is the confusion in Reform's own policy. Within hours of announcing that women and children should be deported, Farage was rowing back, to continue the boating imagery. The costings are inconsistent. 10 billion one day, 47.5 billion the next. Tice floundered on television when asked if the Navy would sink small boats, insisting of course not, but leaving unclear what deterrence actually means. Is it some sort of Greek pushback? Reform is desperate to project decisiveness, but its plans are riddled with basic contradictions. And notice the authoritarian drift. Reform councillors in Nottinghamshire are banning engagement with the local press, defended by Tice as democracy. In Epping, Tice mocked a judge as Mr. Bean by nature when the Court of Appeal ruled against the council. The pattern is clear. If the clergy criticise, silence them. If the judiciary rule against you, ridicule them. If the press asks awkward questions, boycott them. That's the attitude to democracy if you vote Reform UK. This matters because Reform is pitching itself not as a fringe protest, but as a government in waiting. If it cannot tolerate scrutiny and opposition, what would it do in power? The Archbishop is right. Deportation fantasies do not resolve global migration pressures, and they corrode Britain's moral standing. The Church has a duty to say so, however unwelcome. The irony is that Farage and Tice claim to defend British values while trampling on precisely those traditions, freedom of conscience, free speech, judicial independence, that define them. Those things define British values: freedom of conscience, free speech, judicial independence. If Reform continues down this path, the Archbishop's warning may come to be remembered not as interference, but as prophecy.